What's up, everybody? Marcus here, international business author, speaker, Forbes Business Council contributor, and fellow restaurateur. So, I want to talk about the worst business mistake I've ever made that keeps coming back to bite me in the ass. This is like, oh my gosh, this was 4 years ago I made a mistake. And let me read an email that I just got. This mistake has cost me well over $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. I mean, I can't even put a price tag on how many thousands of dollars this mistake has actually cost me. So, here we go. This is an email that I just got. Dear Marcus and my wife Jamie, tonight we gave the restaurant a try. Sadly, we were disappointed. I ordered a glass of Moscato wine, which I like. The wine did not taste good to me. I sent it back and got Chianti, which was good. The house salad was good. It took 50 minutes and asking 4 times before bread was put on our table. However, a couple who came in after us was served bread right away. I asked for grated cheese for my eggplant, but I had to get up, go to the counter, and get it. I then again asked for bread. By this time, I was very annoyed and stated I wanted it before my meal got cold. The server ordered the fish. Oh, no, my husband ordered the fish and chips. The fries were limp, and the fish was still pink. He was going to send it back, but decided to bring it home and cook it himself. The waiter was friendly and apologetic. The waitress, however, sucked. The wine and fish were taken off our bill. The experience was unpleasant, and I doubt we will frequent it again. We have been going to your restaurant for 12 years and have never had a problem. We thought you should know this information. Hope to see you soon at Aroma Time. So we've been going to your Aroma Time restaurant for 12 years. Now, that review that they just read is not for my restaurant. It's for a restaurant that they think is mine. For a restaurant they think that I own or I'm a partner in or that I'm involved in. This is a restaurant that they think that I'm a partner in or involved. This was a four year ago mistake that I made. I went into business with went into a partnership with a best friend. We don't talk anymore. It went very, very, very bad. But here's the issue here. When you do something in your business, people are programmed. This is just the way humans think and remember things. If you say something 5 years ago and make an announcement, this, and this, or people tend to remember things. So here's another great example. When we first opened, for the first 4 months we were open, we didn't have a liquor license. We didn't serve wine and beer. We didn't have a liquor license. This was 2004, folks. People will still call me today and say, hey, I haven't been at your restaurant in a while. Did you ever get your liquor license? Can I bring my own wine? And when they say I haven't been there in a while, did you ever get your liquor license? I know they haven't been with me in 16 years, 15 years. So people just, once something anchors with people, it anchors with them. And this is why you constantly have to get people's attention, let them know what's going on, keep promoting through social media, keep sending out emails, keep doing what you can to keep communicating, to keep everybody current on what's happening in your business. Now, that review that I read you was to a restaurant that I had started with a friend. It went very bad very quickly. We exited the operation in 2 months. This was 4 years ago. And I've actually put emails down. I've actually put on our website. I've actually put, that I only own one restaurant in the area and this and that, and we're not involved in any other restaurants. And Roma Time is my only restaurant. I've done that. But people still remember something from 4 or 5 years ago. Now, what's happened from that time till now, people will see me all the time and say, hey, Marcus, I went to your other restaurant. I've been going to the restaurant. I gave it a try. Or I went to your other restaurant, and I'm like, oh, it's not my restaurant. They're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have gone there if I didn't know it wasn't your restaurant. And I would hear that for the first 2 to 3 years. I would hear that on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week. I would hear people say that to me. So now I'm counting in my head, which is so hard to do, all the business that people thought they were giving me, that were actually now going to a competitor's restaurant. In fact, to an enemy's restaurant, because him and I do not talk, and it's a very bad situation after being best friends for 10 years. So I'm like, okay, you just went to the restaurant that's not mine. You were going there. You thought you were supporting me. And people go, oh my, I thought I was supporting you. I thought I was supporting you. I'm like, no, it's not my restaurant. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So my sales from the first year that we opened that restaurant opened, my sales at my restaurant were down like $65,000. We grow every year, even if it's, 30,000, 40,000. I mean, I went through my biggest growth spurts in my first 5 years where we tripled our revenue. Literally tripled our revenue. So we got to this point where it's like boom. But when you all of a sudden drop back $65,000 on less than $1 million in sales, you're like, whoa, that's something you feel. And we neglected our business for 9 months, opening that and training staff and opening for when we were there we were literally there for like 3 months, and we opened in July and we got out in November, so maybe it was more than that. And juggling two of these restaurants was not the problem. The problem was we had trained people. We had trained people to think that we had another restaurant. We're involved in another restaurant, and it was a different kind of concept, different type of food, and still the same organic approach or local approach, things like that. Still there, but then people were like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I love it that place does this organic food and this and that." And I'm like, I can't say that because I don't know that. I don't know that anymore. I don't know what they specifically do, and I can't comment on that. So that's why I said this probably cost me $150,000, or who knows how much this cost me. It's mind-boggling. There was one night just last summer, 3 years after the fact, I'm walking in the front of my restaurant. A table comes in, 7 or 8 people. They go, Marcus, I go, I'm sorry, I don't have room right now. Can I have you wait? And they go, without even skipping a beat, they're like, no, we'll just go to your other restaurant. We'll go to your other restaurant and sit down. Is your seats there? I'm like, well, that's not my restaurant. They're like, we had no idea. This is 3 years after. This is 7 or 8 people. We had no idea that wasn't your restaurant. So if they would have called on the phone for a reservation, I didn't answer the phone, and it was a normal staff member, team member, no, we're sold out tonight. I don't have any room for another half an hour. They might have just simply said, oh, to the crowd, we'll go to the Marcus of the restaurant without saying anything to the person on the phone. And right there, $38 times 7 people times 8 people, right out the window, right then and there, right? And if this is happening over and over again, so I said to them, that's not my restaurant. They go, we had no idea. I said, yeah, we had left, in the first couple months, and they're like, well, we only want to eat your food, Marcus. We love your food. We love your values, your ethics, all that kind of stuff that you do. You're green. That's why we come to you. And we just thought we were supporting that across the street. And I said, I don't know if they're doing that. They know we want to support you, Marcus. I said, well, great. I appreciate that. They go, we will wait. We will wait. And I said, well, I have these 2 tables here. They go, split us up. Split us up. We want your food. So they sat out front, both sides of the door. They were able to communicate back and forth with each other. So they put one group in. It worked out fine. They were happy. But if I wasn't the one who greeted them and did that, there's another, $320 out the door that I wouldn't know about. And if this is happening once or twice a week, it just adds up and adds up and adds up and adds up. So when I literally say this is the worst business mistake I've ever made, the worst business, this is by far the worst I've ever done. I opened my restaurant in a bad area, a bad community, not a bad community, economically depressed community where a lot of people couldn't afford what I was doing, and that was a mistake. I was naive. I wasn't naive going into this partnership. I knew what I was doing, and I still got burnt. There's been some benefits to it. There's been some really good benefits to it. I've learned how to do other things in my restaurant to offset the high competition or the competition. And now, it's just like, that restaurant, and I had a chef that left a few years back, 6-7 years ago. He left and opened up a restaurant on the same block as me down the street. And, and he was saying, oh, our hummus is better than Aroma Time, or, I have what Aroma Time doesn't have. And that's not how we treat people that came into his restaurant. I'm like, dude, you just don't need to be doing that. That's unnecessary. You have your own place. You're different. Don't try to outdo me on beer. Don't try to outdo me on this. You do your own thing. And this restaurant across the street tries to outdo me on beer. And they advertise. And my best friend had drank beer in my restaurant for over a decade and knew that my beer, our list, what I do to it, all that. Our beer list is uncomparable. We get awards for our beer list. But he puts up hashtags online and stuff. Ellenville's best beer and this and that. And we actually have the award to back it up and prove it. So I put that banner out. So it's made me more of a fierce competitor. And it's made me look to other avenues in my business for income for income streams. We do all these tours now. We do coaching with other restaurateurs, which you might be in our program on that. You might get our educational stuff online. You might have bought my book. So we put a lot more energy towards helping other restaurateurs. And so this video here is to help other business owners before you jump into something with whoever. Man, you've got to understand what the possible ramifications are. And me opening up a restaurant next to myself is a great idea. Me opening a restaurant with a business partner who was a best friend, who I saw. See, now I did a video recently on characteristics of employees. When you notice characteristics of people, it's only going to exemplify. So I noticed over the course of 10 years of me being friends with him that he would have business partner after business partner after business partner. And that's the part that I should have been aware of, because there's a reason why he wasn't never in the restaurant business before, never in the restaurant business. I did other things, but he would open up a business, have a business partner, start a business, and all of a sudden there'd be a falling out. And then a year later, he'd open up about 2 years later, he'd do another business with somebody else. He'd do a deal with somebody, and there was a falling out. And I'm like, man, 10 years, like 3 legit business partners gone. And I'm like, I was number 4. It's just the characteristics were there, and I wasn't smart enough at the time to understand people's characteristics. And somebody pointed out, they go, Marcus, I would have never gone in business with him because I saw what he did to his previous business partners, or the outcome of the previous business partners. Not pointing a finger and saying whose fault it is, but there's some characteristics, there's something that goes on and on and on there of why that's happening. So I should have been smarter back then, and I wasn't. I'm smarter now, and hopefully my mistake will help you in your business not make that. It's great to learn from our own mistakes, and this is a mistake that I've really been paying for. And hopefully it would have been easier for me to learn from somebody else making that mistake and showing me the ropes and telling me the way, or helping me be a much smarter person in that business transaction than I was. So I lost a bunch of my staff. My staff members went there. My manager went there. My chef ended up going there. Other people on my wait staff ended up going to work there. So when we had that definite split, I lost key employees to the operation. So employees that I had trained for 2, 3, 4 years, that I had trained and put work into, ended up, because it was my place, and we had split them up to try to, and we had hired more staff, so we just couldn't accommodate everybody back. And plus, some of them were his relatives, so it was a thing where, okay, now they're with him and you're with us, and so it split our staff too, which wasn't good, and massive resources. I was not only losing the revenue, but I lost valuable employees, which is a hard thing to replace. So again, hopefully you're watching this and understanding, the dynamics and the impacts of a bad business deal, especially for me, the bad business deal right across the street, because I watch my regular guests walk into there on a regular basis, people that have been coming to me for years that I don't know if some of them know that I'm not there anymore. I'll let them know I'm not. But once you get people into a habit of something, you teach them to go somewhere, they're going to do that. So, Marcus opened it. I don't publicize the details of how everything went bad and just all that kind of stuff. So people don't really understand, like, okay, him and I do not talk at all. They saw us running around town, running together for 10 years in town, and, and we did a lot of stuff together and hang out together. So they just saw Marcus and him and their friends and the restaurant, and they don't understand all that kind of stuff. But when I got that email, I was like, wow. I was like, ouch, 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 ouch. This sucks. So, of course, I responded to the email saying we're no longer involved in that. We haven't been involved in it for 4 years. Sorry you had that kind of experience. And I'm hoping to see you again sooner at Aroma Time. And I'm actually going to send them a postcard and give them a call, because I think I have all their information in my database. And I'll probably buy them something, too, for their bad experience. Because ultimately it was my fault. Ultimately, I trained these people to think that I had a second restaurant at one point, that I did have a second restaurant at one point, and to come support me at my second restaurant. So I trained them. Now I'm trying to untrain. Untraining can be a hard thing. Untraining can be a very, very hard thing. So that was the worst business mistake I've ever made. That keeps biting me. It keeps biting me in the ass till this day. It just keeps biting me and biting me and biting me. But I can't let it stop me, and I still got to compete, and I still got to be a fierce competitor. And when I've heard Gary Vaynerchuk, when he talked to him, people have asked him, how do you feel about competition? He's like, I love competition. I just want to step on their throats. And that's like how I feel. I just want to step on their throats. And that's the kind of fierce competitor that I am, to be able to, obviously compete in a legit way, in a fair way, But that's how I think about, hey, I want to be able to rise to the top of this and be the dominant, superior restaurant, be the restaurant that people go to and things like that. When it comes, it came down to my livelihood. Literally, the financial crisis that we had 4 years ago after this was, the impact was immense. Sales down, all this kind of stuff, and what we got behind on in bills and taxes for our own building and stuff like that. When you run a restaurant and you run it at a 10% profit, which is great for under $1 million, and you take away $65,000 in sales every year from that. That adds up, and that $65,000 goes to other places. And when this is your main source of income, your livelihood, and you have 2 kids, and you have all these other these things that you do just to live life and pay bills, the struggle becomes real. The struggle becomes really real, and the competition can become fierce and strong. I didn't have another business. I didn't have a second business at the other time. This person did real estate business. It wasn't their main source of income. For me, it's my main source of income. It's my passion. Like, this restaurant is my passion, and so the competition level does get tough, and it does just like, it's like I don't want to say political race, because political race gets really dirty, but it could get dirty. I don't like it to get dirty. I just like to be the one that's offering the best product and getting people's attention the most, having them come into my restaurant the most, and there's a lot of ways to do that. So hopefully you're one of those people that's out there promoting your place like crazy, getting people's attention, and having some friendly competition. So I wish I could say it's friendly competition, but it's really not friendly competition. I have friendly competition with other restaurateurs that are local. This isn't a friendly competition. This is competition, and it's about being the #1 restaurant on TripAdvisor, on Google, on all these online ratings, and getting the best ratings, and doing this, and keep improving and continuing. And folks, competition is a really good thing. Competition is a really good thing because it pushes you and it gets the best out of you, and it's really good. And I would suggest, hey, there's nothing like fantastic competition. So as long as you keep it clean. Everybody, thanks for watching. Any comments or questions, and hopefully if you're thinking about getting into a partnership, into another business venture like this, that you will take this and really understand what the true ramifications are for yourself and for the other person. Just look at the whole picture. Everybody, drop some comments, and I'll be happy to answer.